Welcome to episode 75 of the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name is Mike Williams, this is Jake Kulkowski and Gareth Evans.
Hey.
Hello.
How's everyone?
Great.
Yeah, man. Very
Yeah,
good.
man.
I'm very good.
Yes.
Thanks. How are you?
Yes. This is the podcast where we talk about video games and we need your help to do it. It's a Patreon-supported podcast, literally by the people who support us on Patreon, and also the same people ask us questions. That's what the whole premise of the podcast is. We go through your questions, your topics, anything you want to chuck out to us to discuss, and we go through them and answer questions like this one from Fish Pockets. Jumping straight in there today.
Fish Pockets.
Do it.
There's an underscore in there as well. Fish underscore pockets. Hey lads, fantastic show as always. Thank you. Bump my Patreon up a level after Gaz's video to support you. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I read an article recently about eSports reps talking to Olympic Committee reps regarding the possibility of bringing eSports into the Olympics at some point in the future. What are your guys' thoughts on eSports and whether video games can be considered a sport?
I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer that. My initial feelings are, isn't sports supposed to be something you do physically? Is chess a sport? Is that a legitimate question?
Okay, right. Well,
It's a big topic, this,
it is a big
which is
topic.
why I whacked it right in the top.
This is the age-long debate. I don't know. Isn't sports anything that's like competitive, team-based on a professional level?
There is
right?
criteria, and it is, and they are talking to the Olympics Committee, as he says here, about the possibility of it being added. And there's there's a lot of tradition. This happens all the time, though, even with stuff that isn't electronic or video games or anything. People saying, "Oh, you can't put backgammon in there because it's backgammon."
Yeah, or poker as well, for example. That was one that was considered.
Because you don't necessarily immediately go sports when you think of poker, but there it is. People are talking about the.
It's competition, isn't it? It's trying to beat other people. Essentially, that's the bottom line of it, and it's the same with gaming as it is with poker or chess or any other backgammon, board games, whatever. So is it enough to be considered a sport? What's your definition of sport? Let's get into the terminology. What does the word sport mean?
I think the important divide here between backgammon, poker and all that and esports is they're still like real sports, dependent on like physical reflexes and stuff. Like as far as I know, all the big esports are real time and require reflexes and endurance and the speed of things. You know what I mean? Like chess, you take your time and you can do your moves. And the same with backgammon and poker to an extent. Like unless you're playing like speed poker, you've got a bit of time to assess. Whereas on like a game, like I don't know, let's take Evo that just happened, right? Big fighting tournament.
Fighting games.
You've got to be fast as fuck. Same with like StarCraft 2. If you're not fast, you're out of there. Overwatch, it's all about reflexes and being quick. So
there's a physical requirement there where there isn't in the other. Yeah, games.
More so that like you can't just take your time doing it if you're against a team that are physically faster and quicker and all that sort of stuff.
If that's not the marketing like catch line of Evo, you gotta be fast as fuck. Evo 2018.
Fast as fuck. But I think that's where it becomes quite impressive, because when you look at like high level gaming, like I used to watch StarCraft tournaments and stuff, Team Liquid boys and that, we're going about 120 to 160 actions per minute. That's about like 3 clicks a second. Like you can't play against them unless you're meeting that, first of all, physical requirement, and then also that mental requirement that goes with it as well. You've got to know what you're doing. So I'm not actually really big into esports, watching them or anything like that. I've got no interest in participating in them myself either, but they are pretty impressive, I guess. Same way as speedrunning is. I can appreciate it, but I'm not into it. Same as I can appreciate any sports. I'm not into any of them really. I can appreciate all the hard work that goes into football teams, rugby teams, tennis players, all that.
Do you think they would be out of place in the Olympics though? I do. I think that. I mean, watching the Olympics is a special thing, because you look at these athletes in the Olympics and you think like, they're at the peak of their physical condition, right? And you admire them for what they've been able to achieve physically, whatever. Right. You look at it wouldn't be the same if it was an esports competition. For me, it might devalue the Olympics itself. Am I being judgmental there?
I think, well, I don't know, because what you said about being peak in a physical condition, you can say that about, I don't know, Ninja or whatever. He's at the peak of his Fortnite game. Like, if you're into Fortnite the same way you're into football, Ninja is Ronaldo or whatever. Do you know what I mean? He's he's the best. He's what other people that do that sport or category or esport strive to be. He's changing metas and he's doing stuff like that. So I guess esports fans are the same as sports fans. They react in the same way. They're really loyal. They like get into aggro about just people not supporting the same team as them. I guess it's kind of a similar mentality. As someone that's not interested in either, they seem very similar to me, kind of. Apart from one is a lot more physical and the other one's a little bit more, I don't know, lackluster when it comes to physical exercise apart from hand movement, but you've got to be very clever, especially like StarCraft, very strategy.
Yeah, I think the issue with highlighting the speedy reflexes of like StarCraft players is then because then you stray into the territory of saying, so StarCraft is that can be a sport, but what about slower games? What about any kind of turn-based game or anything like that that could become an esport one day? Esports. I feel like they're completely a separate thing because there's no, as far as I'm aware, no sport in the Olympics called sport. Do you know what I mean? And esports is called esports because it's a whole different category. Within that category, you've got all the different games that are played, and that is almost like it's just completely different. So it's very difficult to put it in under another umbrella, which is But at the same token, is it any less valid than like shooting? And I don't want to upset or offend anyone who does shooting, but shooting is in the Olympics, and they've got great aim in that, but that's it.
That's reflexes as well.
Yeah, you're right. There's no other physical requirements other than being able to point a gun in the right way.
And then the people who do the shooting come in all shapes and sizes. They're they're not like a track runner, like a 100-meter sprinter will all have the same physical attributes where they'll be like heavy but fast and strong or whatever. And the long distance runners will all be wiry and thin. But you don't have that with games, like you said. You're not going to have people at the top of their physical thing. But
I think the barrier for it being accepted as an Olympic sport or whatever is just the general public just happening across it on the TV, whatever, understanding what the fuck is going on the screen. If you look at a Dota 2 match or something, what the fuck is going on? I don't know what's going on there. Like, and there's a shoutcaster like, like, what the fuck is happening on the screen? I don't know what's going on. Whereas a shooter, he's exploded the thing in the air. Yes,
he aimed at the thing. He shot the thing.
He shot the thing in the air.
Yeah.
I think
you ever tried watching cricket though, right? It's like the Billingsbury has hit the wobble and on the crease, and it's like what?
I don't know, man. But I think that like
I don't watch cricket. I don't know if you can
esports could probably end up with its own like Olympics one day, because I think that's the thing. Yeah, like the Venn diagram of Olympics fans, sports fans, and esports fans are probably quite. There's probably quite niche. So what I'm saying is, if you mixed it in with the Olympics, esports fans would be going, what the fuck is this triathlon shit?
Yeah.
And triathlon fans would be like, what the fuck is a Dota? So if you had maybe that's the best way of doing it. Keep legitimizing esports, give it its own Olympics, and then that way everyone who's into it is into it, and everyone who's into, let's say traditional sport can watch their traditional sport, because crossover's a bit can bore people.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was saying, like it being a different thing. What's stopping the Olympics committee getting massively involved in it, but not putting it in the Olympics? Like why can't, like you said, an Olympics for esports, why can't there be a kind of every 4 years a massive esports thing that's not just like any other esports
I don't think they need the Olympic committee at that point. They could just
if the Olympic, I'm saying for the Olympic committee, if they want to do it, like if they're clearly interested because they're talking to esports reps about it and stuff. So could that not be a solution where you have like this? I don't know enough about esports to kind of say categorically, but is there a kind of a grand prize, like the top competition? If you've won that competition, you are the best in the world. Like if all Usain Bolt has to do is run 100 meters incredibly quickly once every 4 years, and he's the fastest man on earth. Do you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't have to. He does run all these different athletic events and stuff.
Oh right.
But the main one that everyone, the one that says he's the fastest guy on the planet is the Olympics.
Yeah, the kind of is for each game, I guess. Each game has its biggest
has tournament. The one.
It has the one, like the worlds and stuff. But that then other than that, there's no like universal banner.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what an Olympic medalist is.
That's exactly
so
it.
we need some like
it's ubiquitous and understandable, and it's the best one.
Make an E-Olympics in it. That's the solution. Fish
Just
Pockets.
put E in front of everything and do that.
Yeah.
So thanks for the question, Fish Pockets. Jay Jackson asks, as evidence suggests that parents continue to let their children play age-restricted games, what do you think the games industry could do more of to educate parents and protect their children? Now, this is the thing, right, where games are 18, like Grand Theft Auto and everything comes out, and then the parents are buying it for their 12-year-old, 10-year-old kids, and then there's like stories in the Daily Mail and stuff in the UK saying, oh, there's kids playing games about beating prostitutes over the head and stuff. I was like, well, yeah, but the games are there, but they shouldn't be playing those games. And then it becomes this whole argument of, is it the games industry's responsibility to not have that kind of violence in the games, or is it the parents who shouldn't be buying those games for their kids in the first place, and make it like you would with movies? You physically can't take children into an 18 in the cinema. So what there's no kind of equivalent there for games at the moment. So who is it? Is it on the first of all? What can, as Jay Jackson has asked here, what can the games industry do to educate parents and protect children? I don't think there's much they can do. Not spending tons of cash. Stick
a big 18 sticker on it, just to show people that you need to be 18 to buy it. Like like how films and games do. Films and music. That's all they need to do. Imagine this conversation about films though. Like, what can 18 rated films do to stop kids watching? Like, they don't need to do anything. They shouldn't have to. It's an 18. That's like enough said.
And I think a lot of kids still will watch 18s.
How are they? It's parents. That's the thing. Can't blame the shops because they're selling GTA 5 to adults who are bringing it home to their kids. Can't blame the games industry because they're making games for adults. So I know it has to fall on the parents. It is
the awareness, because you can't go right down the route of censorship in games, because that is bullshit. You shouldn't censor games just because parents aren't doing their job properly.
It's not going to work either.
Like parenting their kids correctly. They're not reviewing things that they're putting in front of their kids. If you're a parent and putting a game like GTA 5 in front of your 10-year-old kid, then not fully knowing what the repercussions of that are that there is prostitutes and there is like drugs and all sorts of stuff in that game, then you're not doing your job as a parent correctly, and that's not the industry's fault. That's not anybody else's fault. That's your job as a parent, and you can't disassociate the responsibility of that and blame somebody else for that, like the newspapers want to do or whatever.
It does feel like, to me, for two reasons, like it's a problem that's going to fix itself. And the first reason is the fact that games like Fortnite, all right, there's shooting in it, but it's not Grand Theft Auto. The only problem there is like voice chat and stuff like that, and the other people you'll run into playing the game. But that is the popularity of huge games like that, and Minecraft once upon a time and stuff, and still is, and Rocket League and all these other games where they're fun for everyone. Like, adults love playing them, but so do kids. So there's more and more games that will fill that kind of itch for young kids to play games, and they won't feel the need as much to go for Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, because you remember GTA Online was like eclipsing everything at one point not long ago, like 2 years ago, and then no one's talking about GTA Online anymore. I'm sure lots of people are still playing it. Everyone's talking about Fortnite. It's just the way it goes, and I think there's more. There's that. The games industry is so big that it can cater for everyone with things that are really popular. Second thing is that the adults and grown-ups are now gamers themselves, much more than when we were kids. Because we've been growing up playing games. So then those people will be more informed about it, and they could fall on the side of going like, it didn't do me any harm, so you can play, whatever you want, whatever the equivalent of Manhunt is in 2018. It's like, so those parents will know what they're talking about. They'll know what they're dealing with, and they won't just have this attitude, which I think a lot of parents still have, of like, oh, it's just games, it's just silly cartoons, you can do whatever you want, and not take it as seriously as films because it's not real life.
I think what could be done is games like GTA 5 could have like a child mode, where it takes out all the guns, takes out all the carjackings, all the robberies, everything like that, and it's just an open world sandbox game where a child could run around in, because you don't get many games like that for kids. Because I remember when my kids were small, watching me play it, and they were like, oh, can I have a go? But then I'd let them have a go walking around, but don't use the red button or whatever.
Like the Assassin's Creed history mode.
Exactly. I think this is a step. I'm not putting any pressure and saying that they should be doing this, but this is something that they could do to facilitate it. is just allow kids to walk around in this open world, drive around in cars, and just experience that 3D setting, whereas they can't in their kids' games because in Spyro or whatever, it's different, isn't it? Because you're a dragon around. You're not a human being or whatever. Yeah. And I think. Like we said with Assassin's Creed, they kind of did that, just a different mode where it's just all dumbed down, it takes away all the violence, all the blood, and it just makes it PG. Yeah. I think that could be something.
PG mode.
Can't take that much. It's like a mod, essentially, isn't it? Can't take that much work.
Yeah, it feels like a kind of post-launch thing where that was the case with Assassin's Creed Origins, where they put that out, and then, like 6 months later they come out with this. I don't know if it's 6 months, but it was a long time. And then they say they come out with this mode that's a complete museum history tour thing, and the murdering and the stabbing isn't there, but the huge open world that you can explore and stuff, it still is. So yeah, it could be it could be something. But I think is some parents are just even if you put that option in, if they're that bothered, they wouldn't. If they're the kind of parents who'll just let them play like murderous games anyway, they're probably not going to go in there and change the setting. It's only like the informed parents who are already kind of.
What I'm saying is giving people an option, because if my kid wants to play, she's 9 years old, but when she was 7, whatever, if she wants to play GTA 5, I could say no, you can't.
Yeah.
Or I'd have to sit there and watch her, make sure that she didn't get up to murdering prostitutes or whatever.
You got
because that is important.
That
a 7-year-old girl doesn't do that. But I had no option. Whereas if there was a mode, I could say switch that over. I'm not saying restricting people, but just having that option available would be very beneficial.
So at least the engaged parents would have like more choice, and you'd be able to do something about it, and you would be able. Yeah, definitely. Like more options is better. But I don't know. And I think the bottom line is the parents are always going to be there's extremes of society, like where there's parents who are doing much worse than letting their kids play 18 games. So I think it's a difficult and huge issue that I don't know how kind of pressing the need is for the games industry, because I don't know how seriously they're taking it. And if anything, it's kind of going the other way, where in like Australia and stuff, where they have been censoring stuff and cutting out blood and stuff like that, and they've gone over the last few years, they've introduced an 18 rating. They've been more lenient with games. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think censorship is ever the solution.
No, definitely not.
You think about when you were a kid, like you watched many 18 movies when you were a kid, right? I mean, I remember watching RoboCop when I was like 12 or 11.
Never under my parents' supervision, though. They never knew about it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right. So, no, I watched like The Exorcist when I was pretty young, and that.
Ah, explains that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that goes a long way to explain.
You know what I mean? But imagine that though. Like if my mum went to the newspapers, my kid was scarred of The Exorcist, they would write like fucking idiot parent lets kid watch 18 film. Stupid mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it was like a game, it would be like shocking game.
Yeah. I think maybe in the past it might have been more like, this movie needs to be censored. Yeah. I think maybe in the past, like it's
the 70s and shit maybe. But that's the thing. Maybe in like 30 years time, the people will be like this, like laughing, like mum and dad should have read the 18 thing.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Blame the parents instead of the games.
But yeah, man, it's a silly one. I don't think the video game circuit need to do anything about it legally, morally, or anything, and they should.
They've got it covered, don't they? They've got the 18 rating. They've got a group of people who sit there, play the game through, and learn everything they know about the game. They can about the game, and then decide whether or not it's 18 or a 15 or a 12. And they already do all that stuff. And the stores are tightly regulated. The shops that sell it have to confirm people's age. They've got to make sure, if you're there with a kid. It's at the point where they've got to make sure that you're not buying it for the kid. So they're doing everything that they can, I guess.
It starts and ends with the parents.
Exactly. So just don't be an idiot. Army of One asks, are there any video game characters whose backstories have truly surprised you? Now, while you guys mull that one over, I'm going to talk about Knights of the Old Republic again. Because the main character in that, I'm not going to say what it is because it's a huge spoiler, but the main character's arc in Knights of the Old Republic is one of the one of the best kind of character arcs there are in terms of just in pure like plot revelation and who you are. And there's so many games that build you up as like, oh, you're the hero, you're the chosen one, you're the one that's going to save everything. And then there's interesting stuff in Knights of the Republic, which I've probably already spoiled on the podcast before. But I might I'll protect the ears of.
I think you have actually, but yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying. So Knights of the Republic is one of mine because that was a big surprise and part of the thing that kind of hooked that in for me. But what about you guys? Any surprising backstories that left you truly surprised?
It's a very specific question. I'm hoping for a little bit of surprise in John Marston's backstory when it comes to that.
Yeah.
If that's a legitimate answer to this question. I don't have any other answers, so I'm going with let's hope John Marston has something to uncover when we experience his backstory in a few months' time.
I reckon Grey Fox from Oblivion has a really good backstory. It's a really interesting, fleshed out character. Yeah. And when you don't find the story out through him at first, you find it out through people that know him. And then when the reveal happens towards the very end, it's flipping wild good, man. I really like that. It's like I said it, I think before, someone else said about favourite side quest, and I said that, and it's because of this surprising backstory. So, a lot of RPG companions have pretty cool stories. Yeah. But this one, he's like not a playable character. He's not a character in your party. He's like the leader of the Thieves Guild in Oblivion. Yeah. So that's who I think.
That's nice. That's a good answer. For some reason, the game that popped into my head straight away was Metal Gear Solid, because the moments where you find out about Raiden's past, and you're like, oh, that's okay. But then the exposition, you spend about 2 hours finding out who Raiden is and what he's done. Every single, where he was trained and all this. And it's like, so Raiden and, Snake as well and Big Boss and everything. They've all got like these long, sprawling backstories. Everyone's got 6 nicknames and everyone is related or knows each other or is a clone of each other. So because I can't pick out one particularly memorable, surprising thing, but that game is built around surprising backstories in many ways. The Metal Gear Solid series. So I don't know. I haven't got any other ideas. So thanks, Army of One, for that.
Cheers very much,
Dan Amos. Hey guys, I could tell Mike's been under the weather because he sounds weird. Cheers, Dan. Thank you everyone actually who's sent me well wishes about how ill I sounded last week. But thank you for that. Dan Amos says, do you remember the good old days where you'd get demo discs from magazines? Of course we do, Dan. What was the most obscure or interesting game you've played on one of those? And do you miss them now they're not a thing anymore? Now, we've talked about demo discs in the past. And Jakes, if I remember rightly, you said before it was like some weird indie shit. Like it was that was basically the only way you could get an indie game out there back in the day, wasn't it? You put it on a demo disc.
So do you want me to
Please tell us.
All right, okay. So on the PlayStation 1 demo discs, you used to get all the blockbuster demos, but you also used to get games that development, because the PlayStation, the original one was grey, right? But you could get a black PlayStation, which was the Net Your Rosy dev kit, and you could make your own games on there. And they used to bundle in full indie games on the demo disc. So
made by like one person usually.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the Kulkowski family classic Pushy 2 was an absolute gem, and that was in a demo disc. But I can think of about 50 of these, right? Just to name 2. I'll do one. PlayStation Access did a video about like games that no one's ever heard of, and Rob Pearson was talking about this game, and it's pretty apparent from watching the video that he hadn't played the game, only the demo, based on me and him having the exact same experiences. It's Kingsley's Adventure. It's a wild, weird Fox platformer game based like in some weird coastal town where there's this like mouse rat chef wizard called Bad Custard who's trying to kill this fox. That was wild. How about this one though? Overboard. Anyone remember that? Like over the top game when you were just in a ship and you had to go to all the islands pillaging and stuff. It was a bit like the raft bit of Flame in the Flood. But that's Overboard. Maybe not the best one, but one that will probably most people will remember it because I think that was on the launch PlayStation demo disc with the T-Rex demo, the Manta Ray demo.
Which everyone got, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Overboard or Cooler World. Loads. I can just name about 80 of them.
I mean, definitely. I'm a big fan of them back in the day. I remember playing that Medal of Honor Allied Assault, I think, off a demo, and liking the multiplayer level that I had on there, some sort of fort. I played that for hours and hours, and then moved on to the Call of Duty because of that. That was my first experience of a first-person shooter, pretty much on a PC. But I do miss them, that's for sure. But the industry is different these days. You've got these open betas before games launches. All the AAA games pretty much have got all the try before you buy periods in the beta.
Pre-order now for beta access.
And so it's just a different way of doing it now. I mean, having some sort of physical disc that you put in, and you've got a set amount of games. You can find demos out there. It's just not as convenient, I guess.
It's just the internet, isn't it? Because that was magazines, right? The discs were part of magazines. So official PlayStation magazine, PC Gamer, or CVG, whatever, Games Master. I can't remember which one it was for the PC that had the demos. But
PC Format used to give away.
PC Format.
I remember like bundles of 200 bits of free software. So I guess the internet just kind of killed it off, because now you can just download a demo. That's what you do these days, isn't it? But there's a channel, a little small YouTube channel that me and Liam watched a couple of months ago, actually. I think it's called PlayStation Demo Disc Archive. Must have about 400 subscribers, and they've uploaded silent Let's Plays of every PlayStation demo disc they could find, and they're buying them off eBay and just putting the gameplay on without any talking over it, no nonsense, just full-on nostalgia. It hits you so hard, though, so make sure you're sitting down and watch that. It's well good, proper, especially if you're like mid-20s, you know what I mean? Like, you're the age it's going to get you.
If you're in your mid-20s, right?
Yeah,
that's your
that's when it'll hit you the most.
Like. I used to play a lot of demos off PC format. I played Desperados, which is like the Commandos kind of a lot. I used to always go for the strategy kind of tactical ones. I think maybe it's because I love them, but I think maybe it's because the PC that I was using would run them all right. Do you know what I mean? And they weren't big 3D worlds and stuff like that, and they were usually top down isometric or something like that. So like Desperados, Gangsters 2, if anyone played that was fucking ace, man. You like managed a mob crime family, man. That was wicked. And I played all the PlayStation 1s and stuff like that.
Remember the PlayStation 2 demo disc with Airblade and Dark Cloud?
Yeah, of course. I played that more than PS1.
That was a stomper, man.
Yeah,
Airblade.
It was good. That was the like hoverboarding around doing shit. And that
Future Skate.
Yeah, future Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, wasn't it? So demos are very slow. Let us know what your big demo disc plays were down below, because I bet everyone's got different ones. Everyone's played that PS1 one and the PS2 one, because Sony did that. You got a demo disc with,
I think they gave it
with PS1 and PS2. I'm pretty sure. Nintendo never even dabbled in it, right? When's there been a demo cartridge?
A demo cartridge,
for Nintendo. So that would have been an interesting alternate universe to be in. But cheers, Dan, for that question. Natsu asks, I work 12-hour shifts I like this question, by the way. I work 12-hour shifts a couple of days a week and find myself with only about 1 hour of free time before bed. What are some game suggestions for the Nintendo Switch that can be played on and off for an hour or less and be put down and be satisfied with this short amount of playtime? He's only got an hour to play the Switch every night. What should he play?
I would say, if you're into it, Celeste. Celeste is a pick up and play.
It's one of the highest rated games.
I would recommend that. There's not many games I would recommend that you can play in an hour and just put it down. Provided that the gameplay doesn't get you really irritated, then you'd never sleep. But Celeste, I guess, is one to kind of relax your brain, because it's kind of trying to figure out how you go, you get past the levels or whatever.
I'll tell you what I'm playing exactly in those circumstances right now is SteamWorld Heist, which is perfect in my opinion, because it's small levels, and then you've got this meta bit which there's no time pressure on, where you like manage your crew and your team. It's kind of like XCOM, where you've got turn-based but it's 2D, and the nice twist on it is that you rather than there be like a random stat thing, which is the thing with XCOM that puts some people off, is like you're getting 95% chance of hitting the target, you fire and you miss. That's not what this one is. This is like a direct like your character is pointing a gun in a 2D plane, and then there's like a laser sight that's going up and down, and you've got to hit at the right moment. You've got to hit fire at the right moment, and it ricochets off the level, and you can pull off these amazing like stunt shots and stuff that can save your crew and all that. And that's perfect, because each level is probably about 10 minutes max. And so you could get through a handful of them, and you could manage your crew, you could buy some new gear, level up your team and stuff. And that's how I'm playing it. I'm playing it for about an hour before bed.
And since you're on the SteamWorld Dig is quite a good one too.
Yeah, that's both 1 and 2 are on there.
SteamWorld Dig too.
On the Switch eShop.
I would recommend that too.
And that's just your classic kind of digging thing. You make your own endless dungeons.
That's it. It's a casual game where you can, just progress, pick up and play that, and that's the important bit. That it doesn't take you too long to get into it, and it doesn't take too long to do a level. Whatever.
Jake, you got any suggestions?
Stardew Valley, probably the best one. Hollow Knight, I played for an hour and a bit, but I don't know if that's a good idea because you kind of have to like memorize the map.
Quite intense, isn't it?
And you get lost a lot if you don't really commit it to memory. I guess Donkey Kong Country's level based. Tropical Freeze, love that. That's my most played game on the Switch. Played it loads. But Stardew Valley, that's definitely it. That's definitely the one I'd pick. I love it because it's all in nice, neat segments. Like you play in-game days, so you're not going to overstep your 1 hour. You're going to know when the day's running out, and it's good for that.
It's relaxing as well. I think one of the criteria is that it relaxes your brain ready for sleep, right? Yeah, exactly. I think that is definitely.
It's one of the top-selling games since it came out on the Switch, and it's consistently in the top like 15 or whatever for that reason. For it's relaxing and that you can. It's a neat gameplay. Like you play a day, and then you're done in world, like the in-game day kind of thing. You get through that and then go about your business, or go to bed, innit? Yeah. So there you go. Those are our recommendations for people who have only got a limited amount of time and a Nintendo Switch. Switch, by the way, is probably the best way to play games in those circumstances, right? Because you can just
just chill out and relax, lie down and play it.
I love it for that one reason. Easty Loves Games asks one more question before we go to Fact of the Week. I was just wondering if there are any gameplay elements in older games that you wish you saw more in modern games. Colony Wars had a branching mission system where, depending on how well you did, would change the next mission, which I thought was great.
That sounds awesome.
I'm going to join you there, Easty Loves Games, for exactly the same thing. Freedom Fighters on the PlayStation 2 had this... so you would be in like one little block or whatever, or in a few blocks of like Manhattan in New York or something, and then there would be you go over there and you take out the helicopter pad, or you go over there and you take out the fuel depot, or you go over there and you take out the I don't know, something else. And then they each have a knock-on effect. So if you take out the helipad first, there's no helicopter support in the other two levels. If you take out the fuel, there's no trucks in the other two levels. If you take out the barracks, let's say, there's less troops in the other two levels. So they have like this kind of knock-on effect, and then you can choose. And if you're having trouble with one, go to the other one, get rid of the helicopter, go back, and and it was like this great, and all of the whole game was set up like that, and it was like gave you this sense of guerrilla warfare where you're in the sewers and you just kind of pop out of the sewer drains, the manhole covers, with a bunch of freedom fighters, take out the thing and hide back in the drain. Like Master Splinter, yeah, but less wise. And that was Freedom Fighters on the PS2. So it's a similar thing. It sounds like a similar thing. What you do in one mission affects the kind of next mission, which I really enjoyed. What about you guys? I feel like a lot of old mechanics live on thanks to Kickstarter and stuff like that.
I feel like they definitely do. And the industry these days is so big. There's always an example of whether it's in indie games or whatever. If you're looking for a specific mechanic, there'll always be examples of it, whether you like the game or not. But I feel like I don't really have an answer.
It's hard to miss one because I feel like indie games corner them because they can't really do graphics and huge narrated stories and like voice acting. So what they have is a clever mechanic, and that's like their biggest strength. So if there's a mechanic that's been used before and not been used in a while, they'll be the ones to bring it back because that's the hook that the people need. That little knock-on effect thing is kind of in Metal Gear Solid 5, isn't it? Where like if you shoot loads of people in the head with a gun. I was going to say a dart gun, but I forgot the name, so I just had to devolve to gun. Shoot them in the head with a gun, Jake. Then the next time you encounter them, maybe like after they wise up and they start wearing helmets. If you do loads of missions at night, then they wise up and they start using torches. Or if you shoot them in the body, they use vests. And there's that really cool knock-on effect. So, it's kind of living on through little decisions like that. But I don't actually, I'm not one of those people that really puts a past on a pedestal too much, especially when it comes to game mechanics. I'm really fortunate for the new games that we're playing. I think they're fucking awesome.
I mean, one of my favourite mechanics from old games they're still prevalent quite now is Sid Meier's Pirates. The reputation mechanic in that, where you can, there's 4 different factions and you can gain reputation with each one. And that's one of my favourite mechanics pretty much of all time. And it depends, depending on your reputation with each faction, it depends, how cheap the prices are when you trade in, how they respond to you when you're out at sea or whatever. But that mechanic is carried forward in games like Mount & Blade, where you've got, it's a sandbox world where you can go and gain reputation with any, and that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when it comes to like some of the best mechanics that still live on today in kind of indie titles.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. One very specific thing I've got as well is Star Wars Battlefront, the original ones, where you had the space battles where they weren't just dogfights in space. You started off on a big battleship, and then you would have to get into a fighter on the battleship in like a hangar and fly out and either attack the other battleship or land in the other battleship's hangar, jump out.
Not many games do that today.
Yeah.
Not even Star Wars Battlefront. They've started doing it. They've started paying lip service to it. They've started doing space battles and stuff, but just not in the same like pure, in terms of what you physically actually do. They haven't quite reached what you used to have in the original Star Wars Battlefront games, which was really cool. As a Star Wars fan and just as a bit of sci-fi multiplayer stuff, it was ace, man. It was well cool. So bring that back. So let's do Fact of the Week. Can we have the jingle, please? The original Madden NFL game, then called John Madden Football, took 4 years to produce. The project began in 1984, but it wasn't released in full until 1988. EA even drafted in help from Bethesda Softworks, as it struggled to satisfy the ambitious demands of the surprisingly hands-on with development football legend who put his name to the project, John Madden.
Pretty good on that.
I wrote that one myself.
Bethesda,
I usually
you
copy them
made
from
that
somewhere else.
fiction.
No, that's I invented that. No, that's all facts. But
it's a good fact that Bethesda and EA.
Bethesda was involved in Madden, and also John Madden, who they thought would just be like,
here's my name.
Here's my name. Have it. He was like, no, you've got to have 11 players on a team, otherwise you're not having my name. So they were like, fucking hell, but we can't do that with the 1985 computer, John. So there you go. That was to celebrate the launch of EA's Madden NFL 19 on August the 10th.
That's really good.
Not sponsored. So let's do Dead Cred Redemption. So this is Dead Cred Redemption. We get these stories sent in to us from our listeners and viewers every single week. They are stories that need to be shared so that the people who did the offending or were embarrassed or ashamed or whatever, they can be absolved and they can cleanse their conscience and not worry about it anymore. So if you want to send in your stories, please do, because they're great fun to read. It's completely anonymous, so don't worry. It's gaming@goliath-media.com. Don't lie. That's the only rule.
Yeah.
And just don't. What's the point? Why would you lie in it? Just why would you lie? Just be a good sport.
And stop trying to use it to brag. As well.
Stop
that's
bragging.
Annoying.
And but that's more of a like a request and not a rule.
You don't have to follow that.
But that would be good.
Some of these people guys don't even want to be resolved. Like they don't want freedom. They just want to brag about their misdemeanors.
Like, one day I stole this. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
So you need to feel some shame or something, at least in the story. And so here we go. Let's read this anonymous story that we've got this week. Picture this. It's December 1998. I'm 13 years old, and the only console I own is a SNES. And I'm desperate to finally get my hands on a PS1 so I can be up to date on console generations, and so I can borrow games with all my mates at school. Fortunately, my foster mum had bought her nephew's PS1 off of him in the middle of November to give to me at Christmas. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
And I was more than aware of this. For 4 consecutive weekends in the run-up to Christmas, I snuck into my foster mum's bedroom on the Friday after school where the PS1 was being kept until Christmas, and I took the PS1 from the holdall it was being kept in. I'd be in my bedroom all weekend, happily playing Command & Conquer Retaliation, which my granddad had bought me as an early Christmas present. If I got a knock on the bedroom door, I'd quickly hide the console and controller and talk as loudly as possible to cover up the sound of the console. I'd then strategically put the PS1 back in the bag on a Sunday night. So we're following this so far, right?
Yeah.
Right?
On board.
Okay. But on the 5th weekend, I ran out of luck. I heard quietened conversation between my foster parents in the kitchen. Fearing the worst, I walked into the kitchen and offered to make them a cup of tea. But the game was up. they discovered the PS1 was missing. I was roasted, and my foster mum was actually crying. She asked me how long I'd had it for, and to my eternal shame, I told her that it was only the one weekend I'd taken it. I was grounded, which meant I was going to miss a Christmas trip to Laser Quest.
Oh no!
And to be fair, it was nothing less than I deserved. But on the day I was supposed to go to Laser Quest, she had a change of heart and ungrounded me. I had a pretty good day out too. If you're listening, Brenda, thanks for ungrounding me. and sorry I stole this from your bedroom.
That was like,
damn.
That was that was a roller coaster emotion. I felt tense when he wrote, or she, I guess.
Or she, yeah.
The jig was up.
We don't know who this is.
That was, wow. Well, listen, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like the tone of it, the way it's written.
Yeah, very articulate, very nice, and full of regret. This is what I mean. There was not a brag there, was there, really?
No, exactly.
That's like, I did this horrible thing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
I like how you injected a little bit of positivity in there by telling us that you enjoyed Laser Quest. That was good. Brenda seems like a top woman, and hopefully you're still in touch with her, because... you should be, because she sounds like a wonderful woman. And
imagine your granddad buying you Command & Conquer Retaliation. What a granddad. That's
very good. I mean, we were just on about then. Some parents still don't know what their kids are playing now. No. Imagine granddad getting you Command & Conquer. It's top work.
Yeah. So that was a good story. I like that one.
Yeah, Laser Quest was my personal highlight. It's being grounded so you can't go to Laser Quest. There was a Laser Quest in the real by the Peabody's, man.
It's called Quasar now. Isn't it? Yeah. Doesn't sound as good, does it? Quest
that's
and laser in one word.
That's a scientific term. It's a kind of star that's... anyway. So that was Dead Cred Redemption for this week. If you want to... you are absolved completely. Yeah, that was a great story. And you feel genuine shame and regret resonating off the page there. You're free to go, sir or madam. If you've got a story like that, or perhaps more embarrassing, hopefully more embarrassing, email it to gaming@goliath-media.com, and we will answer it, or not answer it, we'll read it out in the following podcast. Thank you, everyone. Questions part 2. Let's get on with it. Stay at Home Gaming asks, hey guys, I know you did a video on this a while ago, but do you think you will ever get to play some old MMORPGs again? I, for one, would love to play the first Lineage again. Old MMOs.
I mean, that don't exist anymore.
I mean, I know what Gaz's is. It's Star Wars Galaxies, right? I would. Here's mine now. I would want to play that. I never played that.
That was an awesome game. Like everything I remember about it. Awesome. Awesome on your own. Awesome with the group. Awesome in whatever you want to do. Combat. If it was building. There was just so much to it.
It's a testament to a good MMO that if you can play it on your own and have a nice time, you know.
For sure.
That's good design. That. So yeah, I'd like to play that, because I just kind of it just completely passed me by. I guess being around for the early days of EVE is too much now, but I would like to have just dabbled in it, and while it was still not complete, because it's so intimidating now. I think it's just such a time sink.
I think it always was. It always wasn't.
I guess it probably always was. But I feel like now there's like these just giant figures within the community and stuff that I would just be like this little speck of dust.
What you'll find is, though, there'll be communities and like alliances set up for newbies, and they will more than happily help you and get you on your feet.
That's cool.
Because obviously the stories we hear about are like these huge corporations, people ripping people off,
the cream.
Exactly. Like the criminals and all that. But there will 100% be noob-friendly alliances where you can get in and people will help you. And I think that's, from my experience as MMOs, you'll always have that. Yeah. But like you say, though, EVE Online, it's like you need to be up with your Excel spreadsheets, don't you, to be able to...
You need an NVQ and a bit of Excel. What about you, Jake? You got any old MMOs? I mean, Tibia? Get back into Tibia, innit? What even is it? What does it look like?
It
looks like heaven.
The light of God's rays, man.
Is it top down?
It's like, it's exactly what you imagine a game that I would play would look like. It's like that weird, awkward, isometric angle RPG with like people with capes on and shit.
And you can only walk.
But it looks a little bit like 2D Habbo Hotel-y, do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, alright,
like 2D,
I'm with you.
And it's still it's been popping since 1997 and it's still going strong.
It's another great marketing line from the mouth of Jake Kulkowski there. Tibia. It's been popping since 1997.
You know what I mean? Like when I was playing it was only on PC, and it was like a big outcry for a Mac and now it's on Mac. It's on like mobile.
Imagine it wasn't on Mac. Imagine 20 years later, and it still wasn't
well, it was
on Mac.
out, like I say, out since '97. Last time I logged in was about, I don't know, 2009 or something.
And
Still
that's a
not
real
on
old man. That's 20-year-old MMO.
Yeah, I was playing it in like 15 years ago, so like that long, and I had to just go back to that, man. But I did play vanilla Lord of the Rings Online. And
so did I.
That was pretty nice. They changed a lot of that.
It's free to play now.
But it would have been cool. I played it with a couple of guys from my school. Remember I told you that I played Morrowind once on the guy in my class is engaged, Tony Bedford. Shouts out for some reason, Heavy Finest.
Got a surname in there as well. What's up, Tony?
We played that a bit, and it was really nice. I had a really nice time. But he was like well ahead of me. Like when you join a game and your mates are well ahead of you, and it's just like, what do I do?
What
Kill
you
some
can't
fucking
do.
balls. But I would have liked to play that like launch day, Lord of the Rings Online. So
I played a bit
of
that.
That's my
good
contribution.
So those are our.
Well, I've got one other one. If I
go on.
Earth and Beyond, released in 2002, it was like a space.
You've heard you talk about this.
It was fantastic. From what I remember of it, it was a bit like. EVE Online, right? You got your space. You can get out your ship. You can run around space stations, get missions off NPCs and stuff like that. But the space was kind of flat, a bit like what's that?
Rebel Galaxy.
A bit like Rebel Galaxy.
It's a 2D plane, but
yes. And I remember playing that. I remember working my way up. The progression system was awesome. I remember working my way up to get this cloaking device on my ship because there was 3 classes, and one of the class that I had, I could get a cloaking device. So like my whole, I was. Working my way up to this cloaking device, and then I could get closer towards a sun because it didn't affect the ship as much, and it was like the progression in it was awesome. It's just like a space simulator with like people flying around doing missions, whatever. You get out your ship as well. It's there's just not many games like that. No. Like No Man's Sky is the closest thing now, I guess, and that's it's not an MMO really, is it?
No, Star Citizen, I guess, is part way there, I guess, is the best way to put it. So thanks for that question. Thank you very much. Stay Home Gaming. McWardles asks, have any of you ever tried, get ready for this, cosplaying before? If so, who have you dressed up as? And if not, who would you if you had a limited budget and certainly impressive skills required to make it? So have we ever tried cosplaying before?
No.
I've been on fancy dress parties and that.
Fancy dress? Is that cosplay?
That's
is Halloween cosplay?
Oh yeah, I went as a ghost.
Yeah.
Halloween podcast.
Yeah, we did a Halloween podcast where
if that's cosplay.
I was a box or something. I can't remember.
Robot.
Yeah, you were a robot.
You were
MK. What was it?
That was a
2000s.
and we had a ghost and all.
That was the extent of our.
And I was a vampire with a bin bag on.
That was.
Those are the extent of our cosplaying skills. I don't know what podcast that was, but seek it out. It was on Halloween, so that should help.
I think it was episode number 666. I think. Didn't you give it something like that? Something spooky like that?
I don't know.
I think you'd give it a spooky name.
Yeah, it was Halloween last year.
But I think.
So who would you cosplay as then? If you were good.
Good question.
Fucking Chun-Li, man. Nah, I don't know really.
That would be funny.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
That would be entertaining.
Okay, let's have a little think.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do in the meantime. The player from No Man's Sky, little space astronaut guy.
Oh, yeah.
Or any of the creatures from No Man's Sky.
I'd go a Gek, man. All right, what about... let's go... I'd like to be an overweight Sub-Zero because it would be so funny. It would just look so bad, even with a good budget. Just some like short, fat Sub-Zero coming into Comic-Con cosplay sort of shit, man. I don't know. Nah, it'd have to be Chun-Li, man. Every day, man.
Chun-Li.
Let's go Chun-Li.
What I like about that is that I never would have guessed you saying Sub-Zero.
Yeah, it was nearly Scorpion, but I felt he was a bit overdone.
Yeah, no, Sub-Zero's the one. Sub-Zero's the one.
I think Adam Jensen from Thing would be good for me because people say I look like him anyway. Adam Jensen from... am I getting the name wrong?
Yeah, of course. Deus Ex, yeah.
That
get shades, get a cyborg implant.
That's it. I've got the beard, got the kind
get
of...
Get a big long vampire coat, cyberpunk vampire coat.
The ones that... another one that gets brought up is Reggie and Thingy from Far Cry, something that me and you get...
He's Henry from Kingdom
Come
Deliverance.
You're Henry from Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I think Henry's me, actually, but...
People say you talk like him, which is wrong. Flat out wrong.
It's just,
but you do look like him a little bit.
Sound like him.
You do look like
I don't know all sound like him. I've never played games, so I don't know.
It's just a British accent, but they're not in the same country.
But
So it's like, do you know what I mean? In America, they must just hear somebody speaking with a non-American accent and go, they all sound the same.
Is that Mike?
Is that Mike? Yeah, you're the archetype.
There you go. So cheers, McCordles. There you go. Those are our cosplaying stories. Caleb Husky asks, I often feel rushed to finish a game and move on because of my huge backlog, but at the same time, I don't want to miss good content. How do you approach games with a lot of side content like The Witcher 3? Completionist, just the main story, or somewhere in between? So if the game is massive, like what is The Witcher 3 and that, what do you do? Do you play all of it, or do you just do the main story, or are you somewhere in the middle?
What I generally tend to do if it's a huge game like that, I'll thrust forward till about I'm 50% complete with the main story. I'll get like 50% in with the main story, and then I'll do some side content, and then get bored, and then finish the game, and then I'll leave it forever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my pattern. That's what I do.
That's a pretty good.
Goodbye
technique.
forever. Uninstall.
That's a good technique. With like, I can't help it with a Bethesda game. I just wander everywhere. But most games, I try and do a bit of the story, like I was saying. Then I do the side quests, and then if the side quests were pretty good, I'll finish the game and then mop up.
Yeah.
But then if not, bye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I don't really complete games all the way through a lot. I think the last one I did all the quests for was like Horizon Zero Dawn, I think.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a chore, to be honest. So Far Cry Primal was the last game I did everything in, and that was again a bit of a chore. But like God of War, right? There we go. There's one. I did like nearly all the side quests, but got to the point where I played it for like, honestly, like 40 hours that week, which is like a full
I smashed that as well.
So it was just like, I'm done with this now. I had killed like 4 of the 8 Valkyries or whatever. And I have this brilliant thing where I don't have to do it. Like some people in their head, like Liam is a slave to his own persistence, and he's like, I have to do it. I have to do it. Like even if he hates it by the end of it, he has to do it. I'm just like, fuck that. But yeah, God of War, like that's it. So I'd put 8% complete.
I had the same thing with you with that, because I finished it and then I was in my head saying, I am going to go back and I'm going to do the kill the Valkyries and do all the things that I didn't do, but I didn't. You know, I'm kind of like that with, I'm kind of very close to where you are, but I tend to explore with everything. I'm so slow playing games. I think what I do is I role play it too much. I kind of, if someone says maybe we should explore now, I go, okay, and then I'll explore for a bit. And if someone's like, quick, you've got to go over here. This, you know, all these open world games say you've got to go over there. There's a fire and 1,000 people are going to die. But then you can just do side missions for 20 hours and leave the fire until you're ready. I will always rush, and so it depends on what the story situation is, what the characters are telling me and stuff. And I'm bad for that. And I also take loads of photos in photo mode, so I take forever. But I do like to meander around. So if it is a huge game like The Witcher 3, I will just take a long time to play it. And luckily, I'm quite good at staying focused on that game. So I won't. If there's other games popping up, if they do distract me, it won't be for too long. Like I'll always keep playing The Witcher 3 or whatever, eventually. So that's just the way. I'm definitely not a completionist. I don't think any of us are really. But Liam's the closest to being a completionist. True. But even he likes to finish games once he's seen the credits and stuff now, which is the way I like to roll. And it's just the best way to manage, because there's so many games. There's flipping so many games. And if you've got the budget and the means and the well, for us, it's more about the fact that we feel like we should play a lot of these games. So you end up like getting drawn to. We get codes and stuff like that. So we get drawn to a lot of games throughout the year, and it's very difficult to have the time to play all of them all the way through and be completionist. The only game I've proper completionist did is Bloodborne, really, and that recently anyway, and that was just pure because it's Bloodborne. So, cheers, Caleb Husky, for that question. We've only got a few more. Heavy Lemon, great name. Okay. Hi guys, loving the channel. Keep it up. I was wondering if you guys ever played those old Flash games on sites like Newgrounds. If so, what are your favourites? Stick Death was a favourite at my school at the time. Oh yeah,
Stick Death was,
So is this like mini clip, that kind of shit, right?
Like, I guess
King.com and
Albino Black Sheep was a really good one, and Newgrounds. Yeah, these Flash games were ultimate. There was like that classic one on mini clip. I think it was on mini clip. The one where it was like you were a polar bear and you had to whack a penguin as far as it could go, and it bounced and stuff.
There was a lot of weird ones. There was a lot of weird ones about like George Bush fighting Osama bin Laden and all this kind of things. There was a weird amount of that on Miniclip.
I suppose, yeah, because it was the early 2000s. There was a lot of Bin Laden heavy games. And no one really...
No, and George Bush. There was a lot of George Bush violence.
Yeah, it was like an American eagle. He plays an American eagle swooping down.
I know. I remember one where you just beat the crap out of George Bush if you wanted to, or Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, you could.
Or there was one where you played as George Bush as loads of people broke into the White House to shoot you. So, but there was a lot of George Bush-related violence. So it was, it's very balanced
it wasn't
between Al Qaeda
Bin Laden
and
yeah. I think Stick Death was very, very, very cool. There was like a couple. What were they called? Like, it was like Zang or something, like, I don't know, or Zuzu maybe, like XIU, and they were like animations like Stick Death.
Right.
They were really
choreographed. I know what you mean.
They were really choreographed stickman fights.
Yeah.
Flash,
and it was like the Matrix.
Yeah.
I
and
totally
some
remember.
of them were interactive and you could play them like games like Stick Death and stuff, right? If that's the game that you're on about anyway. But that's
so those are Flash game memories. Paranormal Destruction asks, thought I'd ask you a simple and easy question. I don't actually think we've been asked this before. What is your favourite console of all time?
It's we used to get asked it so much that we put it in our frequently asked questions section on the Patreon.
I don't ever remember answering this.
Oh, right. Well,
I think we might have made it up and put it in there in anticipation. Do you know what I mean? I think we might have thought.
Maybe, because I remember my answer,
So Paranormal Destruction, mine is the PS2 because it was my first console and it gave me so many great memories as a kid. I still have my PS2 since the console's release and still play on it to this very day. I added the word very in there for dramatic effect.
That's okay. All right.
So it's a PS2, and that's a common answer, I imagine. I think PS2 is going to be a lot
I reckon PS2 is probably the most popular.
Yeah.
Maybe amongst our entire demographic.
I know. I think which one mine
probably.
is.
Let's book that trend and say the SNES then, because when I was
big one.
Nice.
When I was in my formative years, I guess that was the console that we had, right? Playing Street Fighter 2.
Jeff Mario.
Mario, but it was what was that bloody driving one? The really Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart. Awesome. So yeah, playing hours and hours on end playing them games, I guess. So I'd say SNES. I wouldn't take it now over the PlayStation 4. However, I'd take the PlayStation 4 every single day. I mean, technically my favorite is the PlayStation 4. But
nothing wrong with that.
Nostalgically, I'd say
I think the thing with the PS4 is it's incredibly battered down the middle in terms of playing it safe from Sony in terms of features and stuff. But the actual games on it, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Exactly. The experience that you can have with it.
Yeah. And PS4's got some knockout. I mean, it's got Bloodborne, best game of all time on it, so I can't hold that against you. Mine's actually though the Xbox 360, and because it was just like the best era for me in terms of gaming, between multiplayer gaming with my friends after school every night, playing Call of Duty and Gears of War and stuff. It had so many. It had like the Mass Effect trilogy, it had Dead Space trilogy, it had BioShock on there. It had all these like huge games, and like even little gems that I just can't get out of my head, like Battle for Middle-earth 2, and Viva Pinata, and Viva Pinata.
Very underrated.
If anyone's playing Stardew Valley going, this is the best this possible thing,
it's because they weren't around when Viva
play
Pinata
Viva Pinata and prove yourself wrong. Where is that game? That needs to be HD remastered.
Have the rights.
Get that sorted, man. Get that on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
you can play it, can't you? You can play it on Xbox One if you've got back.
I think so, yeah. Or maybe the second one. But yeah, Castle Crashers on the 360, Toy Soldiers, the Xbox Arcade, indie
Xbox
games
Live
became
Arcade.
like mainstream. Like you could go and get indie games, download them.
Yeah.
Great, and it was like the first like proper good online console.
Yeah, they even had an indie before YouTube. Like, I guess while YouTube was like taking off, you had for gaming like big style. You had they had Independent Jim, and they had Inside Xbox, and they had programming on the Xbox console.
Yeah,
and Independent Jim was a Scottish, Rob Florence, and he was just picking through indie games that were good, but it was the weirdest it was like Limmy or something like that. It was proper weird.
They had like 1 vs 100 as well, free event that you could do every week, and you could win real money and prizes. They got so much right with the 360, and it was like they were the nights loads of people would have been home from school or college or work on party chat all night, whatever.
So that's definitely me. That's definitely
Nintendo GameCube's mine. just this it's got like
Best
so many
Zeldas.
bangers on there, man. Best Zeldas. And if you want to talk about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, fine. But when I got the Wind Waker, I got it day one, and if you got it day one, you got a little Master Quest disc thing with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on it. So that was good. I played that.
So you got those
on
games
the
on
GameCube.
it, yeah.
So there was that, Hitman 2, like Super Mario Sunshine, Doshin the Giant, Double Dash, like all the best games, man. Fucking GameCube. And, maybe not Smash Bros. Melee, but some classics.
Who saw that come in? SNES, Xbox 360 and the GameCube.
Nintendo have 2.
Not me.
Yeah.
Nintendo got 2. Think about that. Jones Ibrahim asks, hello PGG, first time Patreon here. Welcome aboard.
Hiya.
Enjoy the content and keep it up. Thank you. My question for the podcast is, what is the evilest thing you've done in an online game? Now, I guess this is inspired by the fact that we always get, as we were saying in Dead Cred Redemption a little while earlier, we get a lot of stories of evil doing. I'm not evil.
No,
so I'm not either. I've probably been especially when I was in that like 360 phase, I've probably been like targeting one person because he pissed me off or something. So I've probably gone, I'm going to fucking get him. And I would just ignore everything else and I would just go after that one guy and just keep killing that one guy.
It's a kind of passion that. It's not evil though, is it?
Exactly, yeah. And it's usually in like retaliation for something he did to me. So it's not,
It's not evil.
But that is genuinely
like
the most...
cold calculated, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So, but that's just kind of seeing red like that. Is the
I
only
feel
thing
like
can
Jake
think
is going to have a great answer for this. So Jake?
I have got it's a bit of a Dead Cred Redemption, actually.
Go on.
Okay, right, here it is. Again, you know what it's going to involve, don't you? Tibia, right? So I'm going to try and make it as friendly for people who don't know the context, okay? So on Tibia, when you die, some of your equipment might drop. There's a chance you could lose some of your equipment, and your equipment takes a long, long time to get. And if you've unjustly killed somebody, you get marked with a white skull to indicate that you've killed somebody for 15 minutes. Okay,
that's not very long.
If you attack somebody, you get a white skull for about 2 or 3 minutes. Now, when you've got a white skull and you get killed, there's about an 80% chance you're going to lose your most valuable piece of gear. Now, they've made some changes in the game since, but this isn't about 2007. I knew that there was a player down in this Darashia Rockworms cave, this cave, and he was hunting there, and I knew he had a wand that I wanted, and I couldn't afford it because it's about a week's worth of game time. So there was a Brazilian player that was level 8 in there, and normally only high level players go there. So I knew that he was, I guess you'd call it smurfing these days. That was like, he obviously had a different character. So I killed that low level character with a sudden death rune, instantly killing him. Now the only thing is that body then says I killed him. So I threw his body down a hole so no one could find his body, and then I waited 15 minutes in hiding. Then I logged out. Then I logged in as another character, went to the Rockworms place again, and started insulting this Swedish guy who had the wand. So he attacked me. So he had a white skull. Then the Brazilian person, by the time they got all the way back to this place to find out who the killer was, the Swedish guy had the white skull indicating he attacked me, but it also indicates he could have
attacked someone,
killed that guy. So it was a quick operation to do. So I framed him for it. This guy killed him. As soon as he killed him, I looted his body, took the wand that I wanted, and left everything else so it wasn't suspicious. And that was it.
That is so calculated.
And it was even worse, is I don't even know who it was. All I know is because you can see their attacks that they're doing, I knew that he had that wand, and I got him.
I'm equally impressed and horrified by that.
Once again, you prove yourself to be a thieving bastard. Zoe Longenecker asks the last question of the podcast. Have you guys ever had a game that made you super hungry? Any games that just make you need to eat? Oh. Or that you have to eat something while playing. I reckon there's a lot of food in games. Final Fantasy 15's got some great food in it. There's some nice pictures of food in Final Fantasy 15. Fallout has got some classic dishes. The sweet roll from the Elder Scrolls games, that just sounds like, I'd go to Greg's and have a sweet roll.
Yeah.
I find the opposite. I find that when I'm playing a game, I forget to eat, and And that's it. I mean, if I play the game for so long, and just forget completely to eat, and so I've never found a game to make me want to eat. I've always been the opposite.
I like to snack when I play games.
Yeah,
I like to make an event out of it and make sure I've got a hot drink and some food to graze, like watching a movie or something. So I do kind of but I don't think I've actively been made hungry by what I've seen in a game. But gaming does have some good food in it.
Yeah, surprisingly no. I know that I like food a lot, and talking about food and thinking about food and everything like that. And my life revolves around what I'm going to have for dinner, right? And I'm going to make it. But no, it doesn't. Video game food does nothing for me. So
there you go.
No, but there is a lot of nice food on the internet for video game related stuff. So yeah.
That's from the head chef of Pretty Good Gaming there. Gaming food does nothing. So thanks for all the questions, everyone. If you are a Patreon supporter and you back us on Patreon, ask away. We'll post this podcast on our Patreon feed, and then just find that and then comment below with your question. That's how it works. And then those questions get read and answered in the following podcast. So if you're not a patron and you want to do that, then join us on Patreon. It's $1 a month to join, and there's other tiers as well if you want some other cool perks. And you can take part in the discussion, give us topics to throw out some topics. There were some good ones this week. There were some really good questions there that we haven't had before, I feel like, a lot of them. So thank you, everyone, for doing that. So before we go, let's play a quick game.
You played this show?
I haven't played this. This is my first game of it.
Of real set era or not real set era. That's fine. It worked perfectly. That's like a thing in this. Never mind. Right. Real set era or not real set era. So this is the game where we look at reset era threads. Reset era is the big gaming forum that's very popular, and it's good. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. Very quick on the news they are.
Oh yeah.
But they do have some funny forum thread titles, right? Yeah. And some of them just defy belief, and you might hear one and think, that can't be real. That can't be real, which is the entire premise of this game. So I'm just going to read out some words, and then these guys have to decide if it is real set era or not real set era.
Before we begin, however, I don't go on reset era.
This seems interesting for you.
Hardly ever go there. I only ever go there if I'm looking for something very specific. I don't browse reset era. So if I'm shit,
you can work as a team. That's how it works, though.
Yeah,
that's how it's been working.
I guess, but still, this is going to be a completely new experience for me.
Okay. And there's an extra twist in this week's one, because the first couple of weeks they would have just been made up answers if they weren't reset era threads. But this time they may be headlines from articles, titles from other places, tweets from other places. And they might be, but they are in their own way pretentious, but not.
It's hard now because
added layers now, isn't it?
Okay, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But here we go. Real set era or not real set era? Let's get on with it. Right. Here we go. Question 1, or I don't know. Is it a question? Never mind.
Yeah.
Can a video make you belatedly appreciate brutalism?
Can you read that?
Just reading that out loud for the first time.
Brutalism.
Can a video game make you belatedly appreciate brutalism?
I think this might be real. I think.
Yeah, it seems real. Because
is it real set era?
It's not a question where there's a lot of. It's like, I experienced this. It's like, can this happen? Is it? Yeah, can it really
belatedly
happen?
Appreciate brutalism.
He could say whatever he wants. Belatedly, I mean, that nonsense at the end of the sentence is.
Well, that's the essence of the.
Yeah, I get it, but it's the way that he's formed the question, right? Yeah. Can it? Is it? Like, there's no judgment. I'm
gonna have to press you for an answer here, James. Yeah, it's real set era or not real set era?
It seems real. It has to be real from somewhere anyway.
Well, it's not real set era. It's a Waypoint Vice article.
Of course,
headline.
It is. Nice on Vice.
So there we go. So question 2. Okay. So there's no way that I'm the only one who's not excited for Pokemon 2019.
Definitely got to be real. Definitely got to be real. It's definitely got to be real.
That's confident, and I'm going to go with that. Boom, it's real. Real set era. Well done, Jake. Question 3.
This thing that everyone likes. I can't be the only one that doesn't like it, guys. That's basically it.
It would be a lot easier for me if it was either real or made up, not real or somewhere else. Because I've got no context with real set era. I've got no...
Okay.
But there you go. That's my excuse all the way.
Pokemon is toothless now. Sorry, I'm reading these out for the first time.
I know. It's like like the Destiny 2 edition thing last week. You just got me. That's what I mean. Reading something, saying it.
Because when I
Pokemon is toothless now.
You answer this and then I'll say what I was gonna
Pokemon is toothless now. I mean, it sounds either real set era or someone else. I mean, someone's actually said this, so is it real set era or not? Is the question.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is a kind of sad bit about it. Is every single thing we're hearing here, someone actually said.
Yeah, it's suddenly a critique.
We're all losers.
It's suddenly an artistic critique on the internet.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's not real set era.
Gas, do you
Pokemon is toothless now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Jake. He knows better.
It's real set era. That is a reset era thread.
I'm sure that one went down well.
Pokemon related one. So one more before we finish up real set era or not real set era. Last question. I beat 48 games this year, but only truly enjoyed 6 of them.
Right, no. This sounds more like a Reddit thread, man.
No, there's no threads. There's no Reddit. It's going to be a headline.
Article.
It's going to be a headline or a reset era.
It's got to be reset era then.
Okay, let's go again. Real set era.
It's real set era. Well done, everyone, for
not
taking
headline,
part. Well, I don't know. You've been on Kotaku, mate. There's a story on Kotaku right now, right? I'm not, but it says I've bought loads of Nintendo Switch games, and the article is just whoever's written it saying these are
Dear
all
diary.
Is it
No, I don't know. I don't want to drop names
crazy
anyway, but it's just someone saying I've bought loads of Switch games, and it could well be a reset era thread, but it's not. It's a Kotaku article.
Maybe they just posted it in the wrong place. Maybe they both tabs open.
Easily done. Right. Publishing articles on Kotaku. So that's real set era or not real set era, and that is the podcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week with episode 76. Like I said, if you're a Patreon supporter, ask us questions below on our Patreon feed, and we will answer them in the following week. If you've got a dead Cred Redemption story and you want to share it with us anonymously, it's gaming@goliath-media.com. Thank you everyone. We'll see you next week.